the offices of the BBC Television Centre in West London. In the reception hall downstairs, yet another delegation's arriving in what's becoming a pretty regular pilgrimage. This time a party of technicians and journalists from Japan. They've come 10,000 miles to study what many British viewers have been seeing for some years now.
Well, welcome to Television Centre, which is not only the home of BBC Television, but of Ceefax. Now, if you'll come with me, I'll take you upstairs into the lift and we'll go up and have a look at it. So, if you'd like to, come on.
The BBC's Ceefax service is the world's first comprehensive system of teletext. That is, the display on your television screen of all kinds of information in words and diagrams. Journalist Colin McIntyre is Ceefax's editor, and he'll underline to our Japanese friends that it's not some dream of the future. It's a service used regularly right now in thousands of homes, offices and public places up and down the country. It's early morning when the first Ceefax newsman arrives for duty.
Detailed forecast. Over the South Midlands and East Anglia, there are still a few showers left.
Just coming up to 14 minutes to 7, the headlines this morning. Service personnel at the Royal Navy submarine base...
Chief Sub-Editor Ian Morton-Smith catches the early news in preparation for what will be a vital part of his day's work.
Now it's time to join the Reverend Neil Richardson for this morning's prayer for the day.
Ian has 12 hours work ahead of him, during which he and his colleagues on the later shifts will be subbing, composing, updating over 100 pages of information. Let's follow through a typical day in the life of Ceefax. Ian's first duty is to study the overnight and early morning teleprinter tapes from the news agencies, from which he'll compose the first headline news page of the day. The scene's now set for the thousands of viewers with Ceefax sets, perhaps over breakfast, to read the latest news at the time they want to, without having to wait for a news bulletin on the radio. Here we're at home with Mike and Janet Evans.
Oh, Mummy, can I get a bit fine?
Yeah.
Yes.
Should be down soon.
Oh, I see.
Morning, Mum.
Morning, Boris. How are you?
Just
in the nick of time. We almost got to go to school in 10 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
Right, there's some coffee left over there for you.
Oh, thank you.
I'll see what the Ceefax headlines are. I'll go and watch him play football tonight. Perhaps I'll take the boys.
Yes, I think it'd be a good idea. They'd probably enjoy watching that. Hey, what's that about South Wales on there?
US chemical waste will be processed in South Wales, providing there is no abnormal risk, says Mr. Shaw. That's going to be interesting.
Tony Gray runs a 400-acre arable farm in East Anglia. Every morning he checks from Ceefax the current grain prices, which can vary day by day so that he knows what to sell and when. Yeah. And Ceefax warns him of any disease threats to his crops.
I see we've got some more problems now with yellow rust and brown rust.
Oh dear.
I think we better get our local rep in, come and have a look at this.
One of London's big hotels, where Ceefax sets have been installed in 100 of its bedrooms. After breakfast, an executive on an overnight business trip prepares for the day ahead with a glance at Ceefax's financial section. It's a service the hotel guests have come to value very highly, and if they should need a final glance before leaving the building, there's a set in the hotel foyer. Mr. Michel Favre, general manager of the hotel, says that not only do his guests find it helpful, but they specifically ask for it when they make their bookings, because he caters for a particular kind of customer.
The Portman Hotel, 95% of its guests are business people. And as business people, one of the most important factor is the information and the quality of information they need, especially in a foreign city. And CeefaX is providing the quality of information that the international travelers need.
But have you got any evidence that your guests really want it?
Oh yes, yes, we have requests by telephone and also by Teletext from Canada and from the United States, and especially now from Europe. We get from Germany people who do ask to have a guest room with the CeefaX available.
As the morning gets underway, the pace hots up in the CeefaX newsroom. As well as the 100 or so pages being updated all day, there are another couple of hundred containing background information, consumer news, fun and game sections, all of which must also be updated, though less frequently. One special CeefaX advantage is its close link with other BBC programmes. At this time of day, there's Play School, watched by half of all the preschool children in Britain.
Look, Nicky, it's 10 o'clock. We've got an hour before play school. Shall we go and see what we need? Right, let's switch on CeefaX to see what we need for play school at 11. We need some scissors, rope and cardboard box. Well, we've got the scissors and the rope, but we haven't got any cardboard boxes. We could get one of those up in the shops though, couldn't we? I think I'll just check on the shopping guide to see which is the best buy. Cauliflowers. Well, we could get one of those at the same time. That they're very good buy at the moment.
Yes, they are actually at the moment.
Meanwhile, away at the television centre, production staff prepare for Play School's 11 o'clock transmission.
Clock into Play School on time. That's in 35 minutes.
Here we are. Here's your boxes, and your rope, and your scissors. Now you're all set.
Reading 44, stand by with Play School, please. Thank you very much.
A few moments to go now, and with Nicky well prepared in front of his set at home, the programme, pre-recorded on videotape, gets underway.
It's the turn of our youngest viewers with Play School, presented by Evelyn Skinner and Bruce Allen.
Sound.
A house with a door. 1, 2, 3, 4. Ready to play? What's the day? It's Thursday. Hello. These cardboard boxes could be for a game.
Hello. This one is nearly finished. Just need to fold that flap down.
Hey, Jim along, Josie. Hey, Jim along, Joe. Jump, Jim along, Josie. Jump, Jim along, Joe.
It's now mid-morning in the City of London, and a hectic time on the floor of the Stock Exchange. Here, as brokers and jobbers busily buy and sell, the information they're acting on, like the prices of the shares, is being made available to a gradually widening audience through CeefaX. From the Stock Exchange, there are the specialist agency links with the newspaper and broadcasting authorities, including the BBC at Broadcasting House. And it's here that CeefaX comes into its own, as financial journalist Clive Moffat explains.
My job in the financial unit at Broadcasting House is to monitor what's happening in the city and the business world for radio and television news. Through CeefaX, we can provide the fastest service of all. I take the tape straight from the teleprinter and type it directly into the CeefaX system. Viewers with CeefaX sets can then read it off the screen, be they stock market prices, company news, or the latest foreign exchange rates.
And the foreign exchange rates page is on view here in the dealing room at the United Bank of Kuwait in the City of London. Because of the international nature of the business of buying and selling currencies, the dealers here find the CeefaX news pages are also important.
We need it for general background news, for political news, for current events, for an expansion of the financial news that we get from the specialist services.
But you've got the newspapers. Why do you need this?
Well, this is more up-to-date than the newspapers. We can see the stories develop during the course of the day. It's like having a separate edition of the newspaper every half hour.
James Richmond, retired businessman, makes an afternoon call to his stockbroker.
Hello, Keith. It's me. I noticed that the banks are down this morning, and also GEC. Does that affect it in any way?
Mr. Richmond lives away from any of the big centres of information, yet with Ceefax in his study, he manages 2 investment portfolios for himself and his wife by checking the state of the market about 3 times a day. The market pages are also important to Malcolm Craig, a financial advisor who also works with Ceefax at home.
I find it invaluable in my business. It gives me an up-to-the-minute market report on all the market sectors which are important to me. Commodities, the Financial Times share index, it gives me gilt reports, it gives me information on commodities, on the metal scenes, on all the investors and all the investment sectors which are absolutely vital in my business. And in my business, I just can't afford to wait until the next day's newspapers to read about them.
Malcolm Craig is in a partnership which advises many key businesses on tax law, company news and investment forecasting.
Hello, Jim. I've got the Ceefax commodities page in front of me here. Look, on the company front, I think copper's bottomed out, so you could well take a 3-month position in copper. We're going to need that. Leave tin alone, though. It's coming down from the peaks, but it's got a long way to fall yet. Silver's worth taking a position in, too. The 5,000 ounce bar is worth going for.
Grain merchant Tony Spokes uses Ceefax and then goes out to work.
It does enable me to tell farmers what barleys and wheats are fetching very often in other parts of the country. It may well be that we can offer them a better price in this part of the world than, say, they're likely to get down in the south of England or up in the north, because the prices vary all over the country according to the supplies which are available in any particular district.
He hasn't given very much yet. Oh, hello there. How's things then?
Good morrow to you. How are you?
Well, not quite wasted away.
This afternoon he's got an extra bargaining point as he tries to sell barley cattle feed to a local dairy farmer.
Sunshine.
Yeah. Are you in the market for any barley this time?
Well, we will be, shall we?
Yeah.
But,
You've got enough probably to last you till harvest, have you?
well, we'll have to have a look, won't we?
Because I see that the price of Humberside barley has dropped today. It's down about £2 a tonne.
That might be interesting.
It would probably cost you around about £84, £83 on the farm.
The order of the top 20 is always available if you've got Ceefax, like Stella Hayes.
Well, you see, if you put on the radio, you have to wait quite a long time for the top 20 to be heard. But if you just go to Ceefax, you dial up the number and you get the top 20 straight away.
Stella's younger brother Glenn is also home from school now, though the pop scene is not for him at the moment. However, there are other Ceefax pages he likes.
Can I have a look at the fun section?
Yeah, I suppose so. What do you call elephants who watch television?
I've not got the slightest idea.
Neither do I. Okay.
Why do hummingbirds hum?
Don't know.
Neither do I.
Okay, let's try this last one. Why must you take a ruler to bed with you?
I haven't got the slightest idea.
Shall we look at the answers?
All right.
Yeah, why not? Right.
There we are. Oh, God, I could have guessed that.
Oh, yeah, I bet. What was that one about the elephants? Call them viewers. Oh, there's nothing elephanty about it, is it? Oh, well.
Now, our Japanese delegation are back in the Ceefax newsroom asking their final questions. One newspaper editor from Osaka wants more details about where Ceefax gets its news from.
It's the wire services, Press Association, Associated Press, United International Press, Reuters overseas services. They're all coming into the newsroom, but we also rely on the BBC a lot. We have correspondents in most of the foreign capitals. We have a very big news network throughout Britain. We have regional newsrooms, local radio, And all these sources are coming to us. So one of our great strengths is to be able to draw on the whole of the BBC for our information.
Services here. Phil Whitfield has told us that 8 people have died in a road accident in the Republic of Ireland. A lorry and a bus were in collision. 12 people have been injured, some of them seriously.
The BBC's internal loudspeaker system relays an important news development from the main radio newsroom in Broadcasting House. And Ceefax will now be first in putting this story on the air. Ceefax viewers can, if they like, have this box superimposed over the picture they're already watching.
And last is number 13.
Now, this sort of thing may mean everything or nothing to you.
Take 6 to 1 and 9 and 2 off.
It could just be that this would be a better bet. True, Ceefax doesn't promise everyone a winner, but it guarantees you the result of the race very shortly after the finish. And if the race isn't being broadcast, you don't need to buy the evening paper or wait for the next results spot on the radio. They're there immediately.
1:32 for 3 on a beautiful day as we have here at the Oval.
Michael Hayes is also interested in cricket, but he can go on watching and still check the racing results.
Orthodox in tandem.
Later in the afternoon, farmer Tony Gray has called in a representative from a local firm of fertiliser experts.
Well, we're just seeing on Ceefax that rust is moving in the area. Just have a look at this to see if we've got any.
Yeah, it's building up quite badly, isn't it?
What do you think we ought to do?
You haven't put anything on at all yet?
No, nothing at all yet.
I think it would pay to spray. I mean, it's on the top flag leaf, isn't it?
Yes.
And so what might have been a major worry is solved in time. And at about 5:30, with the working day virtually over, Ceefax editor Colin McIntyre stressed there was yet more Ceefax could offer.
Well, from now onwards, tea time, supper time, people are getting home. They'll probably take a quick look at the news headlines, see what's changed since the evening papers. They may look at, for instance, film page, see what's on tonight on television or in their local cinema, and they'll probably look at the television pages, which tell you tonight's programs.
But they've got the evening paper for that, haven't they?
Yes, but of course this is so much more up to date. We can type in changes in programs, changes in timings, late stars appearing in a program, or anything that's in effect has changed since the evening papers or since Radio Times, which had been printed some time before.
This was certainly true for Mike Evans, with whom we'd had breakfast in the morning. He got home from work just as children's television was finishing, and sure enough, his evening paper hadn't told him everything.
Today.
Shoot up, Nicky. Had a good day? Have you got the remote control unit? Okay.
Oh, that's told it. He'd be the guy that got it all the wrong way round. Never
9 o'clock news, followed by Ronnie Corbett's show. Oh, Danny LaRue. They didn't say that in the paper.
And for soccer fans, on a Saturday afternoon, Colin McIntyre pinpoints another bonus.
Well, soccer results on Saturday particularly, the great joy of soccer results is you get them when you want them, not when the broadcasters say you must have them. If you've missed the grandstand summary, you can just dial your set and get the soccer results, check your football pools against them.
Now, you have some kind of alarm clock. How does that work?
Oh, well, alarm clock's one of our best and latest facilities. What you do is you take your set and dial up the alarm clock page, which in this case is 160, and it comes up and it says alarm clock. What you then do is you dial time, set a time, it appears up there, the time you've set, you then press the update button, you go on watching television, and as it comes up to your alarm clock time, it will cut through your picture.
And Michael Hayes' wife, this particular evening, was using Ceefax for supper.
What I normally do, I put the food in the oven, I work out how long it's going to take, I set it on Ceefax to tell me when it's ready.
Let's say 7 o'clock.
Delays on flights to other destinations, not just Spain and Portugal.
Okay.
There is a way around the problem.
And we heard of others who use the alarm clock for telling them when to change channels and when to make important phone calls. But here it means dinner's ready.
Supper is ready, I better go.
It's getting late now, and there's just one more bulletin to go out from the BBC Television Centre. But in the Ceefax newsroom, the news pages are still being updated and will be constantly available on Ceefax sets until transmission ends around midnight. Here, Andy Morton has just received the closing prices from Wall Street, 5 hours behind us. And last thing at night, retired businessman James Richmond always glances at the late headlines and checks his watch. It's as much part of his bedtime routine as his favourite nightcap. The end of the day now, and Andy Morton is just finishing a news background page which he knows will be important in the morning. The Ceefax service to its thousands of viewers is over for another day. The flow of news doesn't stop, of course, but now the teleprinters are on their own, quietly recording the stories for the morning when this room will become again the electronic nerve centre of Ceefax.
And there are new ways of using this friend still more, like the BBC's Ceefax development, probably coming into experimental operation later this year. This is a method of using the existing TV channels even further.
Television is formed from lines in which a scanning spot traces out from left to right across the screen, gradually working its way down to the bottom of the picture. When it gets to the bottom of the picture, it flies back to the top again. Now, this flyback is quite long in television terms, and there's no picture information transmitted during this time, and so we're able to insert additional signals which describe pages of information for the viewer to see. Well, he will select the Ceefax condition on the control box here, and then he will select the page according to the information he requires.
The service will be carried unnoticed on one or other of the BBC channels and will be obtained through the use of an adapter, costing about £70. At the switch of a button, at any moment, any of 32 pages of information can be selected, and they can be printed on the screen in less than 15 seconds. As well as financial and weather displays, the service can provide information about future TV programs, racing and football results, even quiz questions and crosswords. News addicts can also be catered for.
News flashes, the idea there is that a person will be able to sit and watch television at home, having selected the news flash facility, in the knowledge that if a news flash does occur, then it will appear on top of his television picture, superimposed on his television picture.
And just going on display in shops now is another TV toy, the video cassette tape recorder. It can be used at the press of a button for recording any intriguing program for later replay.
In the middle 1930s, the Untouchables were after Al Capone. He knew that he was going to get into trouble one way or the other. So he was preparing a getaway. And it's thought that
you can use it for recording programs while you're out for the evening by the use of a simple time switch. And it can record BBC 2 while you're looking at BBC 1. Playback can be achieved in seconds, and the machine is no more complicated than a tape recorder.
And then take up the car, live quietly, and then play it after Al Capone. He knew that he was going to get into trouble one way or the other. So he was preparing a getaway. And it's thought that one of his possible getaways was to come to England and hide
It sells now for less than £400.
on him in Chicago.
You can also buy special cassettes of your favourite TV shows and play them back anytime you want.
Captain, even if he still is alive, we might not be able to save anything, including the ship. You haven't heard a word I've said.